Alright, let's knock this out quick. I've gotten a lot of requests to review the Wii U game Lost Reavers, even though I think most of the requests have come from a single viewer nagging me about it endlessly. It's a free-to-play online game that shut down on May 30th, 2019, so I didn't devote a whole lot of time to playing it, partly due to time constraints, and partly because I couldn't dig up any shits to give about this game. Lost Reavers is an online co-op zombie shooter where you play as 4 time travelers who have to recover relics and bring them back to a dystopian future to serve as power sources to save mankind. There are 4 playable characters: a Japanese schoolgirl with a sword who literally runs around in her underwear, a grizzled black war veteran with 5 guns, a Borderlands wannabe with a mask and an axe, and a blonde woman with pistols and fetish outfits. I said at first that she's Ava from Resident Evil, but now I'm thinking she's supposed to be Trish from Devil May Cry. I focused on playing the Black Guns man pretty much the whole time I played because the game forces you to grind a character up from scratch every time you want to try someone new. In fairness, the majority of players I ran into were using either Guns Man or Borderlands Man anyway. Here's how a game of Lost Reavers goes. You spawn inside a room. To exit the room, you either have to blow up some crystals or hold A next to an objective to hack a console or dislodge a barrier. The entire time you do this, zombies spawn infinitely and slowly head towards you. Rarely there will be an enemy that slowly shoots, and there's a rare but piss-annoying wisp enemy in one level. But by and large, every level has you fighting one basic lumbering zombie enemy with a melee attack that's been cloned and respawned en masse. Once you've held A on an objective long enough, you warp to the next room where you then hold A to get past another barrier. You repeat this until you get to the relic, and then you continue holding A to get past barriers while lugging a big heavy relic behind you. And then you get to the end and you win. And then you load up probably that same level and do it again. So the entire damn game is a 10-minute level where you fight, for all intents and purposes, one enemy type in functionally identical hallways that's repeated again and again and again. You start with 3 levels unlocked: a research station full of zombies, a pyramid full of mummies, and a demon castle with a bunch of dwarves and samurai. But all the enemies are just reskins of the zombies, and the levels have so few features that different maps still feel like you're playing the same damn one stage. If you play the same level multiple times, usually one room will change or have 1 or 2 variations, but it's still the same level. The gameplay doesn't change at all. One room will just be laid out slightly differently. One of the big problems is that playing as the Gunsman, the controls blow ass. No matter how you set the sensitivity, the Gunman's aiming takes forever, and if he walks in any direction other than straight forward, he barely moves. The entire damn game, he feels like he's trudging through thick mud, and makes an already generic experience super stiff, uncomfortable, and awkward to play. Gunman has a rifle, a pistol, a shotgun, a bazooka, and a machine gun. The bazooka has good damage output, and I quickly got a replacement upgraded rifle handed to me, but the rest of his weapons suck shit. Unless you aim manually and line up headshots, which is very tricky to do reliably, most of your starting weapons barely do dick to enemies. I can't get replacements because they shut down the store in the lead up to discontinuing the online service, and the improved weapons in the lab take forever and a half to grind for. So 2 mildly tolerable weapons and 3 pea shooters are all I get to fight the zombies with. You also get a knife to attack in an arc ahead of you, which is your only defense when more than one zombie bears down on you at once, and the last-ditch knockback melee weapon was often a far better choice than half of my guns. Between sluggish movement and all of the enemies taking several hits to put down, the game feels abysmally slowly paced. It feels friggin' tedious, slowly trudging your way through a level, having to wear down all the zombies that you fight with repeated hits. This doesn't feel fun or exciting, it feels like work. When things start going pear-shaped, I don't feel the thrill or exhilaration of having to rally to bring down the enemies. I just groan because I'm about to be screwed out of XPs and I don't want to start another level from the top. To try and give the game its due diligence, I played the tutorial and 1 level as the anime chick. The gameplay here is more like a hack and slash with a third-person perspective. Anime chick has 2 weapons, a machine gun that deals lousy damage and quickly runs out of ammo, and a sword that breaks fairly quickly to where it just scratches the enemies. The biggest upside to using a melee character is the control issues disappear. You run fast no matter which direction you're moving, but it ain't much consolation when she has abysmal damage output in a game that's nothing but damage output. I know her weapons probably get better and tolerable after some farming and grinding, and she and not Trish seem to have some good area effect attacks, but I seriously do not care. Experience and levels aren't shared between characters, and all the characters start out feeling useless. I spent hours farming Gun's Guide to get him quasi-tolerable, and if I want to start playing as someone else, I have to waste another few hours playing the opening levels more to grind them up from scratch before I can do anything with them. It feels like the game actively discourages you from playing more than one character, which is another major major problem exacerbating the game's monotony and repetitiveness. Hell, the game doesn't even let you switch characters unless you completely exit an active game session. Basically disconnect from the internet entirely and then get back in and find another session. But that's only the tip of the iceberg of how useless the game's basic online functions are. To my knowledge, the game has no voice chat, and you have absolutely no means of communicating with other players beyond 8 or 10 pre-made phrases like, "Good job, help me," or "I've got your back." The one that's used most often is "come this way," because it's the closest thing you've got to saying, "Get your stupid ass over to the level exit so we can leave, you dipshit." I get that typing on the gamepad in the middle of a session would be awkward. Hell, just selecting chat options on the touchscreen is awkward, but there had to be a better option than this. The lack of communications came to a head twice when my squad grabbed the relic, one of my teammates was at death's door, and it took us forever to communicate to the teammate to use the healing pads next to the relic before we left. Go figure, I found people who knew even less about the game than I did. I ended up hosting every single game that I played because trying to find and enjoying an active session never ever worked. In fact, the game would always give up after about 3 seconds. And a big problem that you don't realize is a big problem, you can't kick players, even if you're hosting a session. This is a problem because you can't start a game unless all of the players go to the starting pad, and you can't exit any given room in any given level unless all the players are alive and standing on the exit pad. So if someone's piddle farting around in the lobby, constantly getting killed or wasting the group's time and resources trying to level grind on the infinitely spawning enemies, well, guess what? You're stuck with their dumbass, and there's nothing you can do about it. At least half the games that I played, it happened that one jackass would run off to fight enemies to squeeze a little bit of extra XP out of the level and would hold up the entire rest of the group who were waiting at the exit mashing the "come this way" message so we could get on with it. It especially gets on my nerves because my shit weapons don't have a particular excess of ammo, and I have to waste some of that ammo staying alive until the dickbag teammate comes back. And trust me, we'll dig into the reductio ad absurdum of this problem later because, whoo! I don't know what else to say about the gameplay. You play the same 3 levels again and again, running through the same hallways, using the same weapons to fight the same basic zombies. If you have competent allies, this process is easier and goes faster, but that's about it. There aren't really any team strategies to be done apart from covering the guy who's fixing the obstacle. It's not like your tactics change depending on the team composition. Everyone runs off and kills shit, that's all there is to it. The only other mechanic to the gameplay is you can find treasures for a boost in XP at level's end, and I always forgot to look for treasure until my partners had run ahead of me and swiped it all. Hell, one guy abandoned me and dropped out of a game because I picked up one piece of treasure before he could grab it. And that's about the only other mechanic the game has. The gameplay is so basic and generic, the game is barely a few steps above a Steam asset flip. Hell, between the mismatched environments, generic and limited hallways, generic-ass mass-cloned identical enemies, limited beeline for the enemy AI, mismatched enemies in the Demon Castle stage, and crappy muddy textures on my primary rifle, it honestly does look like an asset flip at times. There's no visual flair to the game. Even the graphical design is boring, generic, and repetitive apart from the 4 main characters. Even the main characters I'll have forgotten aside from anime girls' panties in a week. They're all total ciphers devoid of any personality. I don't think Guns Guy has a single line of dialogue other than saying when he needs to reload. There's an enduring character that'll stick with ya. As you play the game, you level up, you get more health, and you get skill points that you can use to upgrade your weapons. But pumping upgrades into a weapon barely does shit to upgrade it. If you want a better weapon, you just have to straight up replace it. After spending a few hours of pure tedious grind playing the opening 3 levels, I get to level 10 and I unlock a new batch of stages, ones marked with 2 stars. The 2-star levels are just the opening levels, but now the endlessly cloned enemies have more health and deal more damage. Hours in, and I'm still playing the same 3 damn levels with the same 1 damn objective, fighting the same 2 damn enemies with the same damn useless guns. Over and over and over again, the same damn game session! Also, once you unlock the 2-star levels, the 1-star levels give you basically no XP from that point on. The only reason I kept playing was because 2 of the 2-star levels are locked until you hit level 15. Basement stages for the research facility in the pyramid. I played just long enough to try those stages because, you know, why not? The layouts of the rooms in the basement stages are slightly different. They tend to be more open, but it's still more of the same boring-ass gameplay. The only key difference with the basement levels is that bosses spawn a lot more often, while bosses are a rare occurrence in the main levels. And before you get too excited, Boss in this game pretty much just means normal zombie with an obnoxiously long health bar and maybe one attack that sometimes knocks one player down. The melee characters seem to be able to knock the bosses down with ease to where they barely deal any damage when they show up, so the bosses aren't even hard, they're just annoying damage sponges that add to the game's tedium. I haven't died all that much while playing this game, but every time my party gets killed, it seems like it's due to the game just spawning a flood of zombies at once. This is how my first, last, and only attempt at a basement stage ended. About 1 million zombies packed as tightly as possible swamped into the level at once and just drowned my allies and I until we all dropped like flies. None of us have anywhere close to the damage output to take on these hordes, and zombies grab and hold you in place so the rest of the group gets a shitload of free shots. It feels like unless your party that can't communicate is in a tight formation to support each other when a flood hits, you're just freaking dead when a swarm like this appears. It feels so cheap whenever it happens, since all of the characters feel so useless. I didn't bother playing the game past the point where you'll unlock the 2-star levels, even though I had 2 more days to play it. I know there's probably more to the game, there may be more bosses, and the pause menu has locked chunks of story for each of the characters. I honestly do not care. I'm bored out of my wits with this game already. I'm not going to keep forcing myself through this crap for the vague suggestion that maybe something interesting may eventually happen. I'm not going to force myself to farm and grind the same 3 levels another Lord knows how many hours in the vain hope that eventually this game may be worth my damn time. And I know that I'm going to get the straw man's argument of, oh, well, you didn't play it long enough, so your opinion doesn't count. Fuck off, you! I've been bored shitless for 4 hours! And now to kill time, Candy Cadet will tell you the story of why Jado said, screw this, I'm done, even though he had a few days left before Lost Reavers shut down. I was playing one of the 2-star levels with a full squad of 4 people. One of the players was also playing the Black Guns man. He'd held us up a few times to fight a few more enemies, but he wasn't egregious about it. After a fairly tough battle, we grab the relic and we make it to the very end of the stage. All we have to do is stand on the exit portal, and the mission's over. 3 of us stand on the exit to port out, but the other gunman player doesn't step on the exit. There are 2 enemy portals right next to the exit that keep spewing out enemies, and this jackass runs in circles fighting the enemies, and he won't leave! He won't let us finish the level! We sit here several minutes mashing the come this way message, trying to scream at him to get the fuck on the exit, and he doesn't stop. This rat bastard is dead set on fighting enemies until every last bullet from his every last gun is gone. We're here for several minutes when one of our teammates just quits, presumably knowing exactly where this is going. Zombies keep attacking us on the platform, so I have to keep expending more ammo and desperately fending off zombies with my knife to stay alive. We're stuck here something like 10 minutes. Eventually, the asshole finally runs out of ammo, and then he keeps fighting the enemies with his knife. The knife that barely does any damage to enemies because you're playing the ranged class, you stupid fuck! Eventually, the dumb bastard gets himself killed. We can't leave him because the game's rules are stupid, so the remaining player and I, about out of ammo, wade into the massive zombies bounds for 4 players, trying to revive the guy so we can finish the mission. I almost die. The other player has to waste several healing items from his personal store to keep me alive because he knows he has no chance against the zombies alone. We barely manage to revive the ass hat and dash back to the exit pad, and then the dumb bastard starts fighting the zombies with his knife again! Just over 10 minutes stuck at the exit trying to stay alive with vastly dwindling resources and watching one dumbass come within an inch of flushing the entire round down the toilet for a few extra XPs. And again, we can't leave him, we can't kick him, we have no way of forcing him onto the pad, and we need him alive. If he dies, we are forced to go revive his worthless ass, or we can't finish the level. And we can't exit the level until he steps onto the exit of his own accord, which thank crap he eventually did. I probably should have just disbanded the session to screw the jackass out of his XPs, but I didn't want to screw over the actual good partner who'd stuck it out with me. And another thing, if I hadn't quit playing the game immediately after that session, I would have been stuck with his useless ass another game unless I disbanded the room, disconnected from the game, and hosted in a completely new session. This was the point where I got so angry at the game that I just checked out of trying to play it any further, at least beyond leveling up to try the basement levels. This repetitive, boring-ass game is not worth this level of randomized frustration. So there, I finally played Lost Reavers. It's a pale Left 4 Dead wannabe that's slow, plodding, repetitive, grindy, boring as all hell, minuscule in scope, it controls like shit, and that's before your online partners turn out to be self-serving assholes who sabotage the mission with no in-game tools to help you and you get screwed. This game is 3 levels, and even then they all play like the same one mission. 3 levels that you're expected to replay for hours on end with no endgame. It's half an hour of content at best. That's not even good the first time around, let alone being expected to play that same half hour ad infinitum because there's nothing else to the game. The primary argument that most gamers use in favor of online multiplayer is that online games have infinite content. You play a single-player game for 4, 10, 20 hours and then it's over, but multiplayer games never end. They last you forever, hours upon hours. They're such better value. Lost Reavers is the very physical embodiment of the counter to that argument. That theoretically infinite amount of content comes from replaying a small handful of levels over and over, except most online games use a handful of game modes, different characters, different objectives, a variety of maps, and new people shuffling into the game each round to keep repetition from setting in. Lost Reavers has so few actual gameplay mechanics and is so damn boring that it feels like you're endlessly replaying a single level with no variation, and it gets boring fast. I'll take a finite length, finely crafted single-player shooter experience any day over walking down the same cramped hallway using the same shit guns to shoot the same 2 zombies, regardless of whether or not the latter experience lasts longer. There, thus ends Jado's latest rant on why he hates online multiplayer games and why he's grouchy that he had to quit playing Dragon Ball FighterZ to get a video done on this crap. Lost Reavers sucks. Or rather, it sucked. Past tense, because now the game is dead. Good riddance.